everyone, it's Sharana from Pay or Wait. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Netflix series, The Politician, which is now streaming on a Netflix platform. This series is created by Ryan Murphy and is also written by Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and also to Ian Brennan, his collaborators on the hit shows such as Pose, Glee, American Crime Story, and the list goes on and on. And so the series stars Ben Platt, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jessica Lange, Zoe Dutch. There is so many people in here that is literally going to make, like, your mind's going to go like, because that's how I felt watching this. Any of you who are new, who aren't new to Ryan Murphy shows, he does work with a lot of the same talent that he's worked on in different projects. So definitely expect to see a lot of fun people who are going to be on this series. But I'm not going to give anything away because this is going to be a spoiler-free review. So this series centers around Ben Platt's character, Peyton. Peyton knows exactly who he wants to be when he grows up. He's known since he was 7 years old that he was put on this earth to become president of the United States. And so Peyton has basically lived his life according to who a true politician would be. He has been in all the clubs. He has served on all the boards that he needs to. And now he is up for his first biggest venture into his step into the presidency of the United States. And what is that? Class president of St. Sebastian High. And so essentially this series is a satire on politics, but mainly what it takes to become a true politician. And so for those of you who are new to my channel, I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about this series, and is it worth you streaming or not. So going into what I loved about The Politician, before I get into any specific things that revolve around the storyline, I really want to give a big kudos to Ryan Murphy, who is no stranger to this. But first I have to talk about the diversity in this series. Even though we're talking about the elites, the 10% or the 1%ers, the creme de la creme, where you might not see as much diversity, I think that he does a great job of trying to infuse different characters from different walks of life, and also to people of color. But what I really want to give kudos to Ryan Murphy for is making sure that there's diversity behind the camera as well. And so what you will see when you're watching a couple of the episodes is that two of the episodes were actually directed by Helen Hunt and also to Janet Mock, who also works with Ryan Murphy on Pose. And so I really wanted to give him kudos for making sure that there is also women behind the camera. But also too, another thing that Ryan Murphy does a very great job of is also to working with actors with different, with special needs. And so we saw this in Glee, and then now we're seeing this with Natasha O'Feely, who plays the principal of St. Sebastian High. She's actually a deaf actress. And so I really want to give kudos, because there's always a huge topic of discussion is why we don't have diversity on screen and behind the camera. And I have to say that they do a very great job of incorporating that into The Politician. And then also too, I will have to say that Ben Platt, he does a really great job as Peyton. Peyton is definitely uptight. He definitely suffers from some moral dilemmas. He's very overstressed, but I love how they show the complexity of his character as he kind of deals with these situations as he's trying to win this class presidency. I think that he does a very great job of making you engaged. You want to watch him. And they also find a way to get him to sing, which it wouldn't be a Ryan Murphy show if someone was not singing on it. For those of you who don't know, he's also done Broadway. And so I thought that he did an absolute fantastic job. Also, too, how can I talk about The Politician without talking about Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Lange, two of my other favorite characters from the series. Gwyneth Paltrow plays Peyton's mother, and so she's very, she's a heartfelt character, wears her heart on her sleeve, but she actually has some funny moments throughout the series as well. This is a satire series, so there's a lot of comedy that are coming from different characters, but I actually had a great time watching Gwyneth on screen. But baby, if you want someone to bring the drama, it would have to be Jessica Lange, who plays Dusty, who plays Zoe Dutch's Nana, Infinity, her Nana. Baby, everything that I love that Jessica Lange brings to any other show or movies that I've seen her in, she definitely brings it in this one. She is definitely one of my favorite characters, delivered some funny lines, and I was just like, ooh, you are so shady, you so disrespectful, but I just wanted to see more and more of her. And so the things that I think go very well for this series is when they decide to focus on the satire of politics, especially bringing it into the setting of teenagers who don't really look like teenagers. They look grown as can be, but the teenagers these days, they just look so old. I'm like, what are they feeding these kids these days? I didn't look like this in high school. I think that when it sticks to its topic of the politician, the politics of becoming class president, as you're dealing with all of these rich kids and all of their antics as they're trying to, tear each other down, make sure that they're going to win the race as well. I think that's when the show is actually good. I think that's when the show is interesting. And so for the most part, I felt as though that even with the storyline, with the satire that's happening, it was enough to keep me engaged. But I did also have some issues with the politician. But we're going to end on one more good note of what I enjoyed about this series. And I would have to say, this series looks very good. It looks very decadent, gives me that 1% vibe, just with the colors that they use, the attire that everyone has, because we are dealing with people from different walks of life, but mainly these kids got money. Peyton got money. He comes for money. I just how they show these different worlds. I think they do a great job of kind of showing you the walks of life from each character. Not that they necessarily go into a lot of deep background into it, but you could just see it and know like each of these different characters and the lives that they come from. I think that they did a great job of that. Now going into some of the cons that I have about the politician. There's a lot going on. And there's something that happens in the beginning of the series that I'm not going to give away that really shocked me. It definitely made you like, oh, like this is serious right now. Like, let me zone in on this and see what they kind of do with this storyline. And so this thing happens at the beginning that it is kind of shocking. And I think that there is a way that they're going to tie this into the series as a whole, but we really don't get to see that. And so when you have situations like that, that really doesn't have payoff towards the end, it kind of comes off more as shock value. And I don't know necessarily if that's the right choice, from a I don't know how to really, from a class level, I just felt like it was a bit much with no payoff that really came off kind of disrespectful to me. And I know I'm being very vague because I don't want to give it away, but I think once you start watching the series, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then also too, there's so much happening. There's almost too much happening that it switches from like all of these different subplots where you're just like, where are we going with this? Like, are we focusing on the political aspect of, what happens when we have young teenagers who are overworked, they're absolutely exhausted, and they're trying to like live their future lives without enjoying the lives that they have here and now. You kind of get like, you get distracted. You get confused. You're just like, what is happening? It's just too much that is going on right now. And because I know that it's satire, it still felt as though that everyone was just over the top. And I know that this happens in some of Ryan Murphy's series where it gets a little bit too campy to where it's almost not enjoyable. It's just doing the most for absolutely no reason. And this kind of happens too when we break out into these musical numbers. Now, anyone that knows me, I love a good show tune. I love me some Glee, and Ben Platt, he can sing, okay? But I think the use that they had of music, of people breaking out into these musical acts in certain episodes of the series, it just felt like it wasn't needed. It was just had nothing to do with what was happening at that time. And it just felt like it just wasn't needed overall for the series to truly flow. I love that they showed off Ben Platt's singing voice, but I was just like, we definitely could have did without this. And so because of that, it almost made me feel as though that I wasn't really into the series as much as I needed to be until we get to the 8th and final episode of the series. And kind of how they wrap things up. It made me so interested in a season 2 that it almost made me feel as though, why couldn't we have just focused on this for like the entire 8 episodes? I would have rather watched a series like that instead of what we got. And so I felt conflicted by the end. It was like overall, it didn't hit the marks for me. It was enjoyable enough to watch from beginning to end. But because of how episode 8 happens, it made me feel like I just missed out on so much of what could have been a really great series. And so I know you're like, Sharana, what are you talking about? You say you want a season 2 because the last episode was so good. And I feel as though I would still recommend this for people to watch, because of how I like that they kind of wrap things up for some of the characters, and then also too because of where I can see the series going, where I see season 2, that is the television series that I want to watch. So because of that, I'm going to tell you guys to still stream The Politician. I don't think that it would live up to the hype of what you have for most of Ryan Murphy's shows. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites. But I think once you get to the end of the series, you're going to be like, you know what? I was like, this was okay, but I'm definitely going to tune in for season 2. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I do want to say, please watch it for all of the surprise people, surprise actors who are on the series. If you watch Ryan Murphy shows, he works with a lot of talented actors, and there were some great surprises that I was just like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know you were going to be here, but like, please, I'm ready. Let me enjoy you for a moment. But yeah, so those are pretty much my thoughts on the Netflix series The Politician. As always, my name is Sharana from Pay or Wait, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.